This is Anthony Falco, author of Pizza Czar and international pizza consultant, and you're listening to the Growing Up Italian podcast.
What is up, everybody? This is the Growing Up Italian podcast. We have my good friend here today, Anthony Falco.
Thanks for having me.
Pizza
Sabino.
extraordinaire.
Thank you.
Great neighbor. Great friend.
Yeah, I didn't have to commute very far to get to the podcast.
No. This is a long time coming. I mean, thank you for taking some time out to sit here and talk with me.
Yeah, I'm happy.
We've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah. I mean, see you on the street a lot when I'm in town.
Yep.
And, I think I brought some pizzas. Like the from the cookbook, the Sicilian grandma recipes, kind of like a focaccia, kind of a pizza, you know. But I think I've been trying to get you a pizza. Is that the first time I made pizza?
Yeah, this is the first time I had one of your pizza. Not first time, but first time, on the block,
Yeah. I mean, my favorite thing to do in the world is to just make whatever I want and then give it away for free.
I like that. That's like a true cook.
Yeah.
Only true cooks like to give away food, experiment with food and then have other people's opinions on it.
Yeah, I gotta figure out how to make a living out of just cooking pizzas and then just delivering them. But
personal chef.
Yeah, for this but then they might want to
let's talk about the cookbook.
Yeah.
Pizza Czar.
So yeah, thank you. Pizza Czar.
Out now, available
everywhere. It just came out last Tuesday and it's on Amazon, it's on all the online retailers. I've been sending a lot of people to bookshop.org, which is a really great website.
Awesome.
It's actually a guy in the neighborhood started it.
Oh, wow.
And his kids go to the same school my kids go to, down the street. And it's what they do is they donate a percentage of the sales to local independent bookstores. So that's a good one, bookshop.org. And then for anybody watching internationally, it ships free anywhere in the world through bookdepository.com. So I've had people repost the book.
We'll be good. You
okay.
Don't hear that.
I've had people repost the book from Israel, Brazil, Mexico.
Well, you've
Canada.
been all over the world making pizza.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very fortunate to have pizza take me all over the world. It's been a wild last 4 years as an international pizza consultant. My first pizza consulting gig was in Brazil.
We were just talking about Brazil, São Paulo.
Yeah, São Paulo, it's such an amazing city. It's maybe one of my most favorite cities in the whole world.
Mine too.
It's a pizza city. They call themselves the pizza capital of the world.
They do.
Very Italian city, but it's also a very multicultural city. It's the largest Japanese population in the world outside of Japan. One of the biggest Lebanese populations in the world outside of the Middle East, and
Italians too.
Yeah, I mean it's mostly Italian.
Yeah, there's a lot of Italians there.
A lot of old Italian bakeries and restaurants, and it's there's a lot of history there. And there's a pizzeria on every block. And I went there to do a pop up, and I met these guys, great operators. Mm-hmm. They had a pizzeria called Braz, and it's a traditional Brazilian type pizza. Do you have the pizza in Brazil?
Isn't it like thicker?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've had it.
It's heavy duty.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
Listen, I was telling Anthony before we started recording that when I went to Brazil, I ate at one of my favorite pizzerias, and it's called Speranza, and I have cousins with the last name Speranza, so that's why I remember that.
Yeah.
But, the pizza was phenomenal right there, and the meat in Brazil is amazing. They take
like the
steak very serious.
Oh my God, it's amazing. I think some of the best food I ever had was just on the patios of my friends who are chefs' house, and just doing grilling steak, and then they give you like a little farofa, which is like this toasted manioc flour, and you just take the steak and you dip it in that, and that's it. And
even the acai bowls. You ever had the acai bowls in Brazil?
No, but feijoada on Wednesday and Saturdays is a must. Did you ever have feijoada
No.
when you were there? Feijoada it's more a dish from the north, but they have it all over Brazil. It's like the national dish.
Is that what like the rice and?
It's black beans.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're talking about
and
now.
it's got like all different kinds of meats in it, like sausages, like
It's like a stew almost.
Yeah. But it's like a really meat heavy bean dish, and then you eat it with rice. If you have, I think it's called feijoada completa, which is like the complete plate, and you have a big portion of the feijoada, the beans and the meat with the meat in it, and then you've got rice, and then there's an orange slice, and then there's some shredded kale.
Yeah, I've seen that dish. I know what you're talking about now.
And then the farofa, the flour too.
What were some other places you love to visit?
That was my first kind of international pizza consulting gig, and it was with a place called Bras Electrica, which now has, I think, 8 or 9 stores. And they're all over Sao
So
Paulo.
you started at the first location.
Yeah, I started down there. We did the testing, helped open the first location. I've gone down there like 5 or 6 times, maybe 7. I don't know. I'm really hoping to get back there as soon as I can. But after that, I went to Toronto, Panama. So far, I've worked in Lisbon,
Wow, you've been all over.
Thailand, Indonesia. I've got projects in the works in Singapore, and I over the pandemic helped consult on a project in Mongolia. It was,
So the pandemic specifically hit you extra hard because your job requires traveling.
Yeah, it was very difficult. I was actually traveling like maybe like 2 or 3 weeks out of every month. I mean, nonstop, barely at home, and just working on the road. And I was actually on my way to Australia on Monday, and when the lockdown in New York happened on Friday, and it was
So you made it back in time?
my trip was canceled. Like I called them and I was like, hey, is this still happening? And they're like, everything's fine here. It's great. And then like Sunday night, they were like, everything's still fine here, but seems like New York is not fine. And I don't know if you're going to get in. And if you get in, you're probably never going to get out.
Yeah, so you just canceled the trip.
So yeah, canceled that, canceled all the other stuff. It was just a cascade of everything canceling. I had to I started doing like Zoom classes, sponsored content. I mean, at first we were just scared, it's me and my wife and my 2 boys. Yeah. And it was like, what are we going to do? Are they going to get sick? I mean, no one knew anything what was going to happen.
It was just an unknown thing.
It was a very frightening thing. And then the restaurant business was like, really hit hard. But after the first couple of weeks, people started kind of figuring out what was going on. And then after the first couple of months, one of the things that was really interesting is that as a segment within the restaurant industry, pizza actually performed pretty well, and
food like pizza, panini, our
you-
businesses blew up.
Yeah.
I feel because it's easy to go. Like in a pandemic, people aren't looking to spend $300-$400 on a meal.
Yeah, I mean,
So guys like
exactly.
us, I feel excelled with
Travels really well.
Yes.
Pizza's made for takeout and delivery.
Yep.
And it depends on different styles. Like I had clients who did more of like a Neapolitan style, which was not so good for delivery and takeout, or also depended on your location. So I had clients who were in like downtown office corridors, and they were struggling, But if people who were in neighborhoods who did like maybe a New York style pizza, I mean, they were doing better business than they'd ever done before because, they were able to compress the hours. They were able to, basically just when people did decide that they needed to get something besides cooking at home, pizza's, a great option for that. Because I think, for me, I feel like everybody knows how to if you cook at home, people know how to cook a steak. They know how to, make pasta. But making pizza is a little more involved.
Pizza's hard.
Yeah.
Just like the actual forming it, because I've tried making pizza at home and the shape was not a circle. So, to make pizza is a skill.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot that can go wrong from, the making of the dough to getting it in and out of the oven to how your oven's set up. So, I mean, I have in my cookbook 4 different dough recipes.
Yeah, could you explain the difference?
So there's 4 different dough styles, and so there's the thin and crispy dough, which
That's New York style?
it can be
Or
kind
Napolitano,
of,
like.
you know, like, I don't know, man. I guess I kind of get, like, you know, people want to put styles into like very specific categories and say you got to use this and you got to use that. I think you could make this pizza and it could be something like New York style. It's more, it came about when I had a client who wanted me to do something similar to like New Jersey thin crust.
Okay.
So it's more like it's more like that kind of like thin and crispy kind of pizza, but it's my own interpretation of it.
Yeah.
And then I have another one called the Neapolitanish, and that's like, you know, it's like a Neapolitan style pizza, but I don't like specifically follow all the rules because I mean, I feel like for the main, you know, amount of time that Neapolitan pizza was made, there probably wasn't any rules. You know, it's a pretty recent invention. So I encourage people to use local flour, and I encourage people to add oil, which you're not supposed to do, but a lot of people do anyways. And so that's a Neapolitanish, and that one is really actually for people who have these like
the small when I think Napolitano pizza, I think of small personal,
super
easy to eat, you know,
and high temperature, so cooked like in 90 seconds,
burnt on the outside,
little spotting, char, and so that recipe is really geared towards people who have the home like high temperature ovens that are big now. Like I have the Breville Pizzaiolo, because I don't have a backyard, but like for people who have backyards, you know, there's like the Rock Box and there's the Uni and there's all these other different brands.
There's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, and there's people who have backyard ovens. So it's really for people who, you know, have like an oven that can help them achieve that high temperature so that they can make that style. I kind of talk in the beginning of that section. I'm like, look, I'm not going to lie to you. You're not really going to be able to make this in your home oven.
Yeah.
Like I've got 3 other
so
recipes.
the other 2 doughs would be then.
So the first 2, thin and crispy and Neapolitanish, they are, you know, you're going to stretch it out. You're going to put it on a pizza peel and you're going to slide it onto a stone and cook it.
Yes. Yeah.
Then the other 2 pizzas I have in there are pan pizzas. And I really love the pan pizzas because I feel like, you know, they're really easy for the home pizza maker. You know, that stuff you talk about, like the sliding it in and getting the shape. Yeah. So the Sicilian, I call it the Sicilian grandma, and then the other one is called the butter crust pan pizza. And you know, the Sicilian.
Is that like a Detroit style? Yeah. Is that like a Detroit style?
So like for me, okay, let's talk a little bit about like
because
styles.
Like a lot of people talk about like that square Detroit style.
Yeah. So like you know, like styles, like how does styles even like come to be like a pizza style? Like what's the difference between Detroit style and Sicilian style and grandma style and like Roman style, you know? I mean,
because even me, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I look at like styles as like there's like a category of how the pizzas are cooked, and that's what I break this into. Is like there's pizzas that are stretched out and then they're slid onto a stone and cooked directly onto the stone. Like, now that is, if you're 100% a pizza purist from Naples, that's the only pizza, you know, is to cook it directly on the stone. But then, you know, pan pizzas are kind of descended from focaccia, which is a very old way to make bread. And, you know, I think like from a historical perspective, you had in New York, like like there's no Sicilian pizza in Brazil, like in Sao Paulo. They just, I mean, there may be people starting to do it now, like, but they only had like something that was very similar to what was brought over, you know, from Naples. But so you have like Sicilian immigrants mixing together with Neapolitan immigrants, and like, you know, like my family on my dad's side, the Falcos, they came from Sicily 100 years ago. And
to Austin.
To
Austin,
Texas.
yeah.
Well, yeah, to outside of a small town outside of Austin called High Bank, and along the Brazos River Valley, and they went there to farm. And, you know, they had never even heard the word pizza until like a Shakey's opened in Waco, you know, or like a Pizza Hut. Like they never heard the word pizza. It was a very regional thing.
So they didn't bring pizza with them from Sicily?
No, they made something called faccia di vecchia, which I talk about in the book, and there's a recipe for.
Is that like more like a barista, like a
It's like it's cooked in a pan, you know, and that one's very simply dressed with just tomato and onion and anchovy.
Yeah.
Like maybe
not really mozzarella or anything, just
no. I mean, there's not a lot of mozzarella production in Sicily in general, but so you have it in America and you have in Brazil and Argentina and all over the world these people who are coming from different regions, and then they're mixing together and they're sharing spaces and communities. And so, you know, I think you have, like, I mean, if we want to just like guess how it happened, I mean, maybe no one knows, but like a Sicilian guy buys a pizzeria from a Neapolitan guy. Yeah, and he wants to make something closer to what he kind of grew up with, you know, and so they make, like, there's even some pizzerias that have, like, if you ever went to Ben's in Soho,
no.
And they do, like, when they call the parmesan, and it's just breadcrumbs and onions and tomato.
Sfingi, right?
Yeah, the sfincione.
Yeah.
And so, like, those things start to kind of mix and cross-pollinate. And, like, Detroit, as far as I know, is just, like, someone making something like Sicilian in
a smaller version.
In a different shaped pan, and then they're using, like, Wisconsin brick cheese because they're just, like, using the things that are around them, you know? And that happens with all kinds of cuisines. It's like you come in with an idea of what you're going to make, but the ingredients are different, what's available is different, and so you adapt and you change it. And then new styles kind of evolve.
That's the thing with pizza is, like, there's not a lot of rules, but I feel like one of the only rules is no pineapple.
Oh, shit.
What's your stance on that?
Oops. Well, I definitely have a pineapple recipe in here.
What's on that? Because I'm curious.
All right, so like growing up, pineapples, I never had pineapple on a pizza. I mean, I think you didn't either.
No. Only time I've seen pineapple on pizza was like Domino's.
I mean, it was just something other people did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like I was fine. I mean, I don't get worked up about it. Like, if that's how live your life, how you want to live it, that's fine. But I think like the people don't like it, like, because I'm also really into like history, and like, you know, pineapple is a fruit from South America. You know, it comes from probably around the region which is now Brazil. Mm-hmm. Tomato originated as a small plant in Peru, in the Andes Mountains somewhere, and then it somehow migrated to Mesoamerica, and indigenous tribes that were in the region that is now Mexico, they cultivated the tomato to what it is today. And then it was the Spanish that brought that to Europe, and they brought that to Italy.
I would never guess that. I feel like, being like an Italian, I just think we invent everything.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you know, Italy itself is an invention, though. You know?
Exactly.
And so the tomato didn't even get to.
What year did the tomato like arrive in Italy?
I mean, it didn't get to Europe until the 15th century, and then people weren't really eating it until even the 18th century.
Because we always hear about like Europe coming here, you know what I'm saying? Like the settlers coming here, but you never really hear like what they brought back.
Yeah,
you know
I mean, the world that we live in is, and all of the food we eat in every country in the world is completely shaped by something called the Columbian Exchange. You know,
yeah,
which is,
I've heard of that.
Yeah, which is there's a great book
bringing back spices, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, yeah, specifically you have North and South America, and then you have Europe, Asia, and Africa, and the Indian subcontinent, and Australia, and Polynesian. And they were completely cut off from each other. When the land bridge closed, you know, for, you know, tens of thousands of years, there was no contact, and everything kind of evolved differently.
Yep.
And there was plants and species, animals, diseases, and people that had never come in contact with each other for thousands of years.
Just separate.
And then after that happened, you know, potatoes were brought to Europe. Cows, pigs, sheep, lamb were brought to the New World. Chilies. There was never any chili peppers in Asia before they came from Mexico. You know,
it's crazy to think about.
The word chili is a Nahuatl word from Mexico. Tomato, chocolate, you know, all these things, they got mixed up and spread around the world. And that's, every cuisine is kind of affected by that, you know, and Italian cuisine is no different. and you know, people. I mean, if you go to Thailand, you'd probably think that the chili pepper had been there
forever because it's in every dish.
It's super spicy.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're talking about like pizza, I mean, it's a food that was born in Italy, sure, because, and you can't say that. So about is
it safe to say that Naples is the home of pizza? Because that's like a lot of rumors from.
I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say because I mean, there's a lot of foods you can't, you know, like you can't really say like who made the first steak, right? You know, like people have been.
You ever heard the story of like how pizza was invented, like the Queen Margarita or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that is probably not.
You don't think it's
100% true? Yeah, I mean,
but it was like somebody put
I don't
bread, dough with mozzarella and
I mean, what
sauce.
We know for sure is that there was no tomatoes here and there was no wheat here. So at some point between the 15th century and the 18th century, you know, it happened somewhere in Europe. Someone in England might have made a pizza and then.
Oh man, Anthony, don't say that. They're gonna come after you. Our followers are a little crazy. But what was your pineapple recipe?
Okay, so now we're back to pineapple. Yeah. I can go off on historical tangents. So yeah, I look at everything from that perspective of history. You know, I mean, like basil originally comes from India. You know, the water buffalo comes from India as well. So there's no mozzarella in Italy until the water buffalo get there. But I think of so when I think of the pineapple, I'm like, okay, there's no like technical reason why you should put it on a pizza, but the reason people don't like it is because it's really it's pretty poorly executed. People are using canned pineapples. They're too sweet. They're wet. They get like wet pineapple in the cheese, and then they're pairing it with like ham. So it's a very one note dish. You know, you got like sweet ham, sweet pineapple. It's like it's not a lot of textural variation there. So I never really messed with it too much. But then when I was in Toronto, you know, they were like, you have to make a kind of a Hawaiian pizza. That's not like a term that I use, but because it's not Hawaiian, there's nothing Hawaiian about it. But they claim in Toronto to have invented the Hawaiian pizza.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So pizza with pineapples and ham should be called the Six Pizza, the Toronto
exactly.
Pizza.
So they are it's very popular there. And so like they were like, look, I know you probably don't want to do this, but we got to make one. And I was like, all right, I got to think about a pineapple pizza. How do I do a pineapple pizza that doesn't suck? And so like I thought, like what's like a savory pineapple dish that everybody loves, you know? And it like thought about tacos al pastor, you know, where you have like this spicy roast pork. You've got like, you know, roasted pineapple, onions, salsa, cilantro. Yeah. And it's great. It's sweet,
delicious,
spicy, savory, you know, salty. It hits all these different flavor profiles. So I took the whole pineapple and I just put it in the pizza oven and just like walked away and waited for the whole pineapple to just turn completely black.
And you shaved
pulled it off, shaved off the black part, and then I took the insides that had now concentrated, sweetened up.
Yeah.
They had lost a lot of their moisture, and I reduced that and pureed it into a sauce. And then made like a chili rubbed bacon, and then put it on a pizza with mozzarella, this dabs of this concentrated pineapple sauce, tomato sauce, jalapenos, white onion, so tacos al pastor.
Any cheese?
Any
cheese?
Mozzarella.
Okay.
Yeah.
It actually sounds good.
It's fine.
But that's not no Domino's pizza there. That's like
that takes
hours.
Pizza.
That takes hours to make. Like that's not your ordinary.
No.
Because like when I think of pineapple pizza, I just think of like chunks of pineapples, chunks of ham, sauce, and mozzarella.
Yeah.
Like, I literally think of Domino's pizza whenever I think of pineapple.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if I've ever had that. But I mean, there's not a lot of stuff in here where we're just opening a can and throwing it on top of a pizza.
You
know, a lot of these recipes are a little involved, you know. I mean, maybe this isn't the cookbook for everybody. It's like, you know.
But listen, we have 100 recipes in here.
Yeah, exactly.
Techniques,
but yes,
tools you need.
Yeah, and I'm really obsessed with making the Sicilian grandma pizza, which I brought you 3 of.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
I've never had pizza like that in my life. I mean, we just put it on our Instagram story. Like, nice amount of dough, not heavy at all.
Yeah.
You made us the mortadella and pistachio.
Yeah.
Which has been my kick lately. I've been eating that. It's coming out of my ears, mortadella and pistachio.
I mean, it's a classic combination. And then
The barez.
The braise, yeah, it's like
with olives.
Yeah, and I cut it and stuffed it and made like a sandwich with
prosciutto cotto and mortadella.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, and I love how it is like it's big but it's light. Mm-hmm. And
that's almost like a sandwich, though.
Yeah,
that could be a sandwich.
I mean, it's like it's a focaccia, which focaccia makes a great sandwich bread, and so like. Is it pizza? Is it focaccia? I mean, I don't really,
just tastes
I don't
good.
care.
It just tastes good.
So that recipe I really love, and it's also kind of I talk about how, my great grandmother used to make bread every day, and then she would make these like kind of pan grandma pizzas, like in a pan,
like little personals, almost.
And she would call them faccia di vecchia, but then like they started making them more like pizza when we were older and. I mean, like if you could put mozzarella and tomato on there and pepperoni and it's like slice, and you could put it in a square pan, you could put it in a round pan. If you don't even have any pizza pans, you could just put it in a cast iron skillet. Mm-hmm. It's gonna work great. You can put it in a steel frying pan. It works great. It's like I really like people getting started with that recipe because it's like you don't need to buy a lot of stuff.
Super easy too.
Yeah. So you when you get the peel and you got it, and then I have my home oven and I have a diagram in here lined up. And
you have pizzas for like home ovens too?
Yeah.
How many would you say are like for home ovens?
I mean, everything but the Neapolitan-ish is for the home oven. And then you don't, and the thin and crispy, I highly recommend you get a set of stones or steels and you do one layer and then another layer on top, I think is the best way to do it. Yeah. But like the Sicilian grandma, you can do that in a toaster oven.
Yeah?
I mean, I have a dope toaster oven. But
you have the best of the best.
But it's $4.75 for like 15-20 minutes. I mean, there's like if you get a good pan, I really like these pans called Lloyd's pans. They're from Washington State. They made in the USA. They're like nice and thick. They're nonstick. You put tons of olive oil in there, and it kind of like fries up the crust. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love it. And then the last recipe to talk about is the butter crust pan pizza.
Yeah, when you said that before, I was like, butter crust. I don't know if I've ever had that.
It's kind of like my homage to like 1980s Pizza Hut pizza, which you didn't have growing up. No. But so like in the little town in Texas where my family, we would go every weekend to go to. So there was High Bank, which was the little farming community, but then eventually all those people moved. And my grandpa and my grandma lived in a town called Marlin, Texas. And my grandpa had a liquor store called Tony's Liquor. And but they also had a farm. And we would go there, and the only, there was no Italian restaurants. Everyone cooked at home,
Typical Italian.
But if you went there on a Sunday, it'd be like meatballs and, sausage and all this stuff. I didn't eat that personally because I was raised vegetarian because my dad
he was vegetarian?
Yeah, even though he's like full-blood Sicilian, he's a hippie vegetarian guy.
Listen, some people, got different tastes.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people are vegetarian, vegan now,
Yeah.
Everybody has their own point of views.
And if you go to Sicily or southern Italy, being a vegetarian is not such a big deal. It's like a very vegetable-driven kind of...
Maybe a lot of fish, though.
Yeah, that's true.
No, like pig or cow, but they definitely eat. So pescatarian. Let's say.
Exactly. But the only pizza place in town in Marlin was a Pizza Hut, and I used to love Pizza Hut pan pizzas.
Is that when you knew okay, one day this is what I'm gonna do?
No, I had no idea.
Was there ever an exact moment where you're like, this is what I'm gonna do?
No, I mean it was a total mistake to become make a career out of pizza. I was
a great mistake, though.
Yeah, it's working out okay right now. Yeah, but I mean, it was never a plan. I mean, I don't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a illustrator. I wanted to be an author, so I guess I am now. That's pretty cool. Through pizza.
First book.
And I do have some illustrations in there. I don't know.
Oh, that you've done?
The artwork in there.
Oh, nice. I definitely gotta check. I didn't see that.
But I did some of my illustration work in there because I do.
I didn't know you could draw too. Oh, like this?
Yeah.
Oh, this is pretty cool.
I drew all that, yeah.
Oh, everything here?
Yeah, I drew it all, and I did all the color work in Photoshop.
Bro, I love the way that mozzarella looks.
Yeah, but I do.
This is super cool.
So I do a lot of, I do T-shirt design and graphic design for people.
That's what I see. When I look at that, that's what I see that on the T-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, just making a career in the restaurant business was just, it came out of, and I talk about this in the book a little bit about like, it came from kind of like, tragedy in my life. Like I was, and I'd always worked in restaurants, like as a dishwasher, or worked at like a bagel shop or whatever. Just like, it's easy work and like
easy to find a job. Somebody clean the dishes.
Yeah, you don't need a resume, right? And so, but then I did get into graphic design and web design, and I had a little company in Seattle after I moved from Austin to Seattle, and I did that for like 3 years, and I just didn't like it. I just didn't like the tech world. I didn't like, everything was just about, we're going to do this and then we're going to sell it and we're going to make a bunch of money. And it's like, I just didn't like sitting in front of a computer all day, and then, I had to like, my nephew died in a car accident. He was 5 years old.
Sorry to hear that.
And, his father had been like, he had been shot to death before that, like that.
Oh, wow.
It was just a very horrible, tragic family situation. My sister lost her whole family. And, for me, it just like, if, just stuff like that happens to your family, it just fucks everything up. And like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to go to work anymore. I didn't want to do web design. It didn't mean anything to me anymore. I was trying to like make this company and sell it so that I could like help put this kid through college, like be a dad for him because he didn't have a dad. And
father figure, like.
Yeah, but then when he was gone, then now what am I doing? What am I working for? Like I didn't really have much to like, kind of like work for or do or anything, right? And so kind of spent some time traveling around the world. It was like just kind of, maybe being a little self-destructive and just, I like when you make something, you make it. And
see the person's reaction too.
Yeah,
like
and you make people happy, And like when you design a website for somebody, it's like no one's ever going to like give you a hug or say they love you.
Yeah. They're just going to say, could you change this now?
Yeah, exactly. That? And it's like when you make some food for someone.
That's me.
Yeah.
Can you change that? Can you change this?
Yeah. Like,
when I see a website.
When like your dad had the focaccia berets with the,
he loved it.
He loved it, and like that makes me happy, And so like I wanted to do that with the rest of my life. So, I came back to Seattle and I was like, if I'm going to own a restaurant one day, I got to kind of work through every job, right? So I was a bar back, I was a bartender, I was a cocktail waiter, I was a waiter, I was a door guy, dishwasher. I did every job.
A little of every day.
Yeah. And, I ended up starting a restaurant, but it was like a Belgian French fry shop because when I was traveling, I had spent a lot of time in Amsterdam. Have you ever had like the French fries in the cones?
With the toppings and stuff.
Yeah, and they put mayonnaise and stuff on it.
Yeah, but even like they're big on the waffles in like Amsterdam.
Yeah,
like everybody goes crazy with the waffles there.
Yeah, and they have the stroop waffles and
the super thin ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, I can eat 15 of those.
The double fried French fries, I just love. I like kind of obsessed about that, and I started a restaurant in Seattle doing that. But at some point, like these guys opened a pizzeria next to me, and it was like this Neapolitan wood-fired place, and I was just like, well, that just seems so much cooler than frying potatoes. And I didn't know then what was going to happen, but I ended up moving to New York and got a job at a pizzeria, worked there for many years, and then, kind of made a little
created your own
name for myself, and then met people, and then, I have to really thank my clients in Brazil, because that place, they're such good restaurant operators, like they're so good at their job that I was able to like, develop recipes for them and ideas, and then it just worked great. And then from that, it was like a showcase, and people saw it on Instagram, and they had me come to their restaurants, and
word of mouth too.
Yeah, word of mouth.
Because like very good business owners will say, this guy helped me set up this and that.
Yeah, and they wrote letters for me, and they I'm very lucky to have like good relationships with all my clients, because I just, I really want them to be happy, so it's, it's taken me all over. It's been really great, so like these recipes, I tell stories about that. Like there's a clam pizza in there.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, so
that's a big thing in Connecticut, by the way. I seen like one of the famous places in Connecticut do like the clam pizza.
Zupardi's does a really great clam pizza. They shuck them.
Yeah. On the spot.
Fresh, yeah. It's amazing. I went there, walked in the kitchen, met Cheryl Zupardi. She, let me come in the kitchen, and she shucked each clam.
How many clams on a pie?
Like 12? Big ass.
Yeah.
Pans.
It's like 12 of them, you think?
No. They take the giant ones and then they cut them up and put them on the pizza. So I don't know if she had like maybe 5 or 6 in one pizza. But they're very special. A lot of people I think are not using freshly shucked clams.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're just using the chopped clams in a jar.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I like.
Is yours fresh shuck?
Yeah. So this recipe and the photos in the book are from when I was in Lisbon working on a project called Lupita. Chef Duda is from Brazil. Mm-hmm. So he knew me from my work in Brazil, but he moved to Lisbon. And he wanted to open a very small pizza place, and he's an incredible chef. So really, I was just kind of helping him, like, work out the kinks. Like, I mean, mostly what I'm doing with people is helping them kind of avoid the mistakes. Like, you can open a restaurant and you can probably figure it out over the course of months or years or whatever. But I've screwed stuff up every way you can. I bought like pieces of refrigeration that I don't like. Cooked in all different kinds of ovens. So I kind of help give people like just experience.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so like I went there to work with Duda, and like it was right across the street from the main like market in Lisbon. Yeah. And they have, incredible seafood there. And they had clams, and it was like, it was like one of what I like to do when I go to a market is just you don't go with a shopping list. You go, you look, you see what looks good.
Yeah, what's fresh.
And you grab it. So he was like, this lady's clams are great. It's like, great, let's get the clams. Okay, let's see what else we got. Grab some of that fennel. Let's get some of those
So you're making your recipes like based on the area you're in. Like,
I'm always trying to have a conversation with the local,
people.
Cuisine, with the products. You can't always use local products, but it's like a mix. Like, one of the jobs I did most recently was in Bali, and we're in there and I'm looking at the products, we do research before, but until you get there, sometimes you don't really know. Mm-hmm. But they had just like regular, American salt there. And I was like, oh man, I really don't like that salt. Like, is it possible to see if there's anything that we can get that's like a better salt? Because it doesn't sound like a big deal, but great salt is going to go a long way. If you have great salt in your food, it's going to bring everything up. And he's like, oh, let me talk to suppliers, see if they have anything that's like local. And then we got this salt from the north side of the island that it's called garam ahmed. And it's
like big chunks of salt.
It's it's sea salt. And it's produced in the same way that it has been since the 15th century. They basically take ocean water and they put it in these big troughs and they let it dry out just like they do in Sicily. Yeah. But it has a specific kind of texture, minerality. I mean, I tasted this salt and I was like, oh my God, this salt is amazing. And it was cheaper. It was like much cheaper. And
that was a blessing.
Yeah, it's great. And so you find something like that and it's like, that's awesome. But like nobody is growing like great tomatoes in Indonesia. So, I mean, if they are, it's maybe just like for a short amount of time, and so the canned tomatoes we used were from California, I mean, it's, you gotta like, it's a balance, right? So you can't go in with like hard rules of like, we're only going to use products from 100 miles around us,
Yeah, you gotta be a little open. Yeah. Listen, as we're winding this down, I'll ask you some fun questions.
Okay.
From experiences, and I respect your opinion when it comes to pizza. Pizza capital of the world.
I can't do that one.
We're gonna skip it.
No, I mean,
because for Americans, you always hear Connecticut, Jersey, New York. Like I feel like those are the three.
Man, I love the pizza scene in New Haven. De Lorenzo's pie.
So you're giving it to Connecticut?
Awesome. No, but I love De Lorenzo's outside of Trenton in Robbinsville. It's great.
Yeah, because there's listen, I've never been to Connecticut, but people message us all the time.
You've never been and done New Haven?
Like,
dude, let's go. Let's
like
get in
Sally's.
Yes, it's awesome. It's great. I love
Pepe's,
that.
right? Sally's, Pepe's, and
Sally's, Frank Pepe's, and then there's Zupardi's,
Yeah.
and there's all these other ones. But it's such a cool scene, and I love that like kind of coal-fired pizza. I mean, New York has obviously got, you know, a huge pizza scene. And
there was an article that Jersey pizza is better than New York.
There's some great pizza in Jersey too. I mean, and Sao Paulo calls itself the pizza capital of the world. But then there's like some town in Pennsylvania that calls itself the pizza capital of the world too. I think everybody needs to just like.
What about deep dish pizza?
Well, like Chicago?
Yeah, you like deep dish?
No.
Is it your style?
No. I mean, no, not really. I've had it a few times in Chicago. It's not.
It's like a soup, right?
I mean, like to me, like the thing that I'm focused on, the thing that I care the most about is the dough, because like that's to me is the hard part.
That's the art of pizza.
That's the art and that's the science. So I'm going to go wherever the good dough is. And right now there is a nationwide global movement of people really re-examining and looking at pizza from the perspective of using better flour, better fermentation techniques. And so, I don't think we can say. I think there's great pizza happening all over the world now.
What about the hot dogs and French fries on pizza that you see in Italy?
I've never had that before. Have
Never
you?
tried it?
No. Have you?
Well, I mean, listen, when we go to Italy, it's like all the kids eat that.
Yeah?
Like if I were to go with my kids, I would say, okay. And they call it the pizza American, like La Pizza Americana.
And they think that's what we're eating on pizza?
No, I guess they know we eat hot dogs.
All right, I love hot dogs, so shit, I'd give it a try.
Try it?
I mean, mortadella is just like a giant hot dog with pistachio.
Yeah, people say that a lot. And one other thing, you were talking about a ranch pie recipe you have.
Oh, ranch. Yeah. People get worked up about that too.
Yeah. That's like almost the same level as a pineapple. Maybe a little less worse.
Yeah.
Like a chicken bacon ranch is like a classic New York slice, I think.
So like the idea in this book is like if you take the time to do it right, put care and love into it, it can't really be wrong, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Like there's no chicken recipes in this pizza or book.
Yeah, there's no chicken pizza.
No, but I also say
I respect that.
Maybe one day I will put chicken on a pizza, but I've never done it so far. But for ranch, I grew up eating ranch. We used to go. Our local pizza place in Austin was called Mr. Gaddy's, and they had good ranch. You'd get the buffet, and after soccer practice, and you dip it in ranch.
And the wings too.
I mean, I didn't grow up eating wings, but I mean, I like ranch. I mean, I think it's delicious. So I made a recipe in here, and it's like fresh herbs, fresh garlic, fresh onions.
You make your own ranch?
Oh, it's from scratch.
Okay.
Sour cream, buttermilk, mayonnaise, and I think it's a really great. Like that's my thing. Is if you're gonna do it right, and make it good, and then you can complain later if you still don't like it.
Which I'm sure.
Have you ever dipped your pizza in ranch?
Yeah, not like a regular pizza, but like I've had chicken bacon ranch multiple times.
Oh, like on the pizza.
Yeah. I'm the kind of person that if I go to like a random pizzeria, like New York style, I would most likely get like one of those funny slices like that.
Yeah.
Not pineapple, but like barbecue chicken or like pepperoni or upside down graham. Like to get a regular New York slice, like it would be very rare. Yeah. Unless the place is like specifically known for it.
Yeah. What's your go-to slice?
So yeah, I think that's I had a feeling we're gonna, end it on this note. So, like best regular New York slice, New Park.
Okay.
For me.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely worked in Rockaway a bunch and would stop there sometimes and get slices.
Yeah.
I can see that. People, that's in a contender.
What about you? Give us an underdog.
I mean, I think right now, to me, Landistry's the number one.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're very good pizza
and that. But again, that just goes back to what I'm interested in, which is the
dough.
Yeah, and I love what they're doing with. He's always kind of playing around with different flours, and he just really cares. Massimo's he's a very talented, bread guy, and so it shows in his dough. I think it's really fantastic.
And like you said, it's very easy to mess that up.
That's
like one little fraction could throw it all off.
Oh yeah, I mean you could have the dough could be perfect, but if you use it too young, like when it's under fermented, it's not going to have any flavor developed. And if you wait too long, it's going to rip apart. So it's the hard thing about writing a pizza cookbook because it's like I give you the recipe, but like the temperature of your room, the temperature of the water, the altitude, all that stuff is going to kind of make a difference. So I try to tell people as try to follow the recipe as close as you can. Get a scale, measure everything out, and then you got to listen to the dough. You got to look at the dough and listen to it. And when it says it's ready is when it's time to make the pizza.
I love it.
You got to be flexible.
Everybody, Pizza Czar, go get it.
Available everywhere. Or, if you don't want to buy the book, all of my dough recipes are for free on my Instagram.
Anyway.
In my highlights.
Welcome to the social media world.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I never really bought pizza cookbooks before, so I don't blame you if you don't buy it.
Thank you all. Ciao.
All right.